All right, it's nice to see everybody. So today is our fifth conversation. I'm going to have to call this conversation 4A because there was no installment this week and I won't be able to keep track if I'm out of sync. So this is conversation 4A, Wednesday the 5th of August. Nice to see you all. We have a new friend today, so let's do a little introduction. So I'm Christina Strutt outside of the Boston area, and I'm really happy to be here. Please, whoever would like to start? Judy, you want to go first?
I'll go. I'm Judy Younghunts from San Francisco, and very happy that there's a third book to all of this, and maybe some direction into this journey to the unknown.
Hi, I'm Lorraine Darash. I live outside of Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. And I've been participating for a few weeks now in this conversation, and so glad to be here and explore and discover, be part of that journey to the unknown.
Thanks, Lorraine.
My name is Kathy Petefish. I'm new this week. I live in Colorado, and right now it's 3 o'clock and I work from home. So I'm gonna be turning off my video, but I just wanted to listen in and see what you guys were talking about. I had a friend and teacher suggest this work to me, and I thought it was really interesting. So just wanted to connect to like-minded friends. So.
Well, that's cool. Was that a Course in Miracles, Course in Love, or something else?
Yeah, something else.
Okay, cool. That's very cool. So it's getting around. I like that.
We're in Colorado.
I'm sorry?
Where in Colorado are you from?
On the western slope, it's called Grand Junction.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Well, it's really nice to have you here, Kathy. And
Thank you.
yes, please do whatever you need to do. Listen and certainly participate whenever you want to. Just unmute yourself and start talking. All right?
Maybe I'll introduce John Williams since his thing is so bad. John also lives in San Francisco. He's been a student of A Course in Miracles and A Course of Love. We have studied together for many, many years. And he is really embracing A Course of Love this time around. First time around, he wasn't quite there. This time around, he's embracing it fully and really is enjoying the fact that there's a journey to the unknown. So he's also one of them that we're doing the 40-day right now with. So this is perfect timing for us.
Great. That's great. Welcome, John. I know you can hear us. Rick.
I'm Rick, and I'm sitting in front of a new green screen that's not working. I was hoping to do a virtual background, and it's not. But anyway, that's why it looks kind of funny, but I live in San Francisco too, and so there's going to be a new part to this work, a journey into the unknown, and it's going to be starting up here in a couple of days. So looking forward to that. I've had a couple weeks off since we stopped the last segment. There's 3 groupings or volumes now, with the third one is going to start up, and so it's been really a fascinating process, and I'm excited to be here talking with all of you today.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. So just as a recap, there's this 3 people involved in offering this to the world. Rick is the in touch with spirit, receiving, and Jo Nagel, my social media wizard. I call her my co-creatrix because there's alchemy amongst the 3 of us. Anchors it into the website template and does all the prettying up of photographs and stuff and does a brilliant job. And I'm kind of in the middle, kind of bridging, what Rick sends me, which is the manuscripts and everything that has to go into the website, from audio, photographs, text, all the rest of it. So that's working quite well. And Rick, we'll keep doing it until Spirit says, that's it. You guys are on your own now. So thank you, everyone, for being here. So this is a little unusual today because there's no new installment to talk about. So I took a few days off, which I very much needed, and used the time to really, I went back and I listened to all 29 chapters that have been released so far in the 4 installments. And it was pretty impactful listening to all of them together that way. And what I've dropped into the Zoom chat just to share is the 4 questions, one from each installment actually, which I feel have been the most influential for me. And, you know, so I'm really going to invite everybody to just share where they are now and any questions they have. The one thing I hope we can talk about a little bit, just if I go over the questions I've dropped in there, I said the first installment, what was so wonderful was, what do you teach by example? Because that's how I've always felt things are the most powerful. As Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. So that, I love that. And that's really at the forefront for me. And then in installment 2, are you sharing what you have? That's the question I'm asking myself more and more frequently with everything. And it's very clear in Journey that it's about taking care of yourself and sharing what's left over. There is no requirement to give everything away. There is no requirement to do anything but what your heart prompts you to do. And it can be sharing of anything, your time, your voice, your money, your food, anything at all. The sharing is what gets the world moving. You know, it's that energy moving, the energy of love. And in the installment 3, and that's the one I'd hope we could talk about, though. What about money? We didn't really talk about that when we had that conversation. And then the last one was from installment 4. Do you listen for specific instructions in the moment? And I realized I wasn't doing that very well. So that's been at the forefront for me. Stopping and really listening in the moment, you know, asking and listening in the moment. Yeah, so I'll come back around later, but please, anybody who wants to share anything that has stood out in the last month or anything at all, and then maybe we can talk a bit about the what about money, because it's pretty clear about that. So please, anybody. Rick, do you want to lead off with anything?
So I'm still trying to formulate a thought here.
Okay, take your time.
I have a thought.
Go ahead.
What I remember from, I don't know, it's Course in Miracles or Course of Love, but we do not know what we have until we give it away. That's how we know. And so I do send out emails to the people that are in my reading classes. I send it out to other people that have been in my reading classes. I have gotten over the fact that they can read them or not. I don't care. But I will, everybody's coming on right now. But I will continue to send it out because they can delete the email if they want.
Right.
But I still need to share it. And I really get this urge, this need to share it.
Yeah.
And so, and that remembering that we don't know what we have until we give it is just so important. So.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that. Thank you, Judy. Yes, it is through the sharing that it's also the giving and receiving as one. You do it because you have to. And when you've given it, you're complete. Yes. Jackie, would you, we just, you're not very, don't worry, we just started talking about what stood out for us in the last 4 installments, because this last week there wasn't a new one. Would you like to just introduce yourself and say where you are? And
yeah, my name's Jackie. I live in Philadelphia, and I'm late because I couldn't find the password. So I'm delighted that I emailed you, Christina. I'm delighted to have found the password. I'm just so happy to be here because what I've read, everything that I've read so far, just resonates so beautifully. It feels like the truth. So
wow.
Yeah,
that's wonderful. I'm so glad I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at email just now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I found it. Thank you.
Oh, good. So yeah, that's great. So where are you, Jackie?
Right now I'm in Philadelphia.
Oh, sorry. Yes, he said Philadelphia. Sorry, Rick, you were saying something.
No, my phone was beeping.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Can you say how you came across Journey?
Through my Course of Love group.
Cool.
So, so one of the women that I've been in the group with for the last 10 or 11 years, she found it, and Helen Lady Burke, and she shared it with the rest of us and said, "Guess what? Look what Christina has come upon, and it's a channeled work also. It's beautiful." And so I took it. It was so funny. Like, it wasn't like I took bite-sized pieces. It was like, here's the elephant. I will just do the whole thing right this minute. So it was very compelling, and I just kept going. I find myself I have a very strong appetite for this kind of thing. So.
Yeah, that's lovely, because it really is a call to action, and I can just imagine, Jackie, that that would appeal. I mean, because we spend such a long time with so many spiritual studies and groups and individual personal development, and Journey makes it very clear that this third part is not about personal development. This is now about what we do with it out in the world. And both of the earlier books are very clear to put the book aside and go out in the world, and listen to that voice. So.
Positively, and I think it was a lovely invitation to do that, and so ever since then, I have felt that call in a new way. So I was doing it before, but now I feel the call in a new way, more of an energetic way. So,
yeah. Thank you. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Rick?
Well, let's see here. The one about specific instructions in the moment, yeah, I like that. I mean, I think that that's a great part of unity, is being in a constant conversation. And sometimes I've gotten some information that I didn't have previously. Like, for example, a few days ago, I was on my walk and I was going to approach someone who was in a doorway, a person who lives on the sidewalk, housing challenged person. So, but I got a message of approach with caution, and I was quite a distance away. I could just see them from a distance. So I paid attention to that. So to me, that's a part of unity, is getting additional information that maybe you don't have access to. So.
Yeah, that's so important. I mean, it is the one mind, the one heart, and we access it right through here, knowing, But it isn't, for me at least, I haven't yet got to a place where it's just coming through. I need to stop, I need to breathe, and just remember to listen for a moment. So that pause is pretty important for me still, Yeah, so the question, Jackie, I don't know if you had joined when I said this, was simply asking people to share anything that stood out for them in the last several weeks, the chapters that have come out so far. And I dropped into the chat the 4 questions that were most meaningful to me that I've been really working with. But anything, we're up for grabs, and please, anybody.
I will share what has come to me, sort of on piggybacking on what Judy had to share about sharing the posting she's sending out, and just felt compelled to do that. And what I'm feeling in terms of sharing is I do believe this is a call to action. Like Jackie said, it's very compelling when I read it. And I'm called, even I feel, to be in this group to share myself. So whatever I have to offer, but just even to be here in this, I think it's a great, beautiful opportunity to journey. And like you, Christina, am I stopping? like I had to pause about half an hour ago and just still myself because a number of things had sort of built up, and I knew I wanted to be on here for two o'clock. So I had to just pause and calm myself and say, you will get everything finished and you will be fine. But even as a student of A Course in Miracles, we're always still students and teachers, it always did concern me that I wasn't listening enough. Or am I really listening? What's coming through? Is this of the Holy Spirit? Like, so that was always a bit of a conundrum for me. And what really helped me was in A Course in Miracles, if I can even find it now. It's in the manual for teachers. And I'll start at 5. I'm not sure where I should be starting, but I'll go with this. It's under As for the Rest. It says, who assumes a power that he does not possess is deceiving himself. Yet to accept the power given him by God is but to acknowledge his creator and accept his gifts. And his gifts have no limit. To ask the Holy Spirit to decide for you is simply to accept true inheritance. Does this mean that you cannot say anything without consulting him? No, indeed, that would hardly be practical, and it is practical with which this course is most concerned. If you have made it a habit to ask for help when and where you can be confident that wisdom will be given you when you need it. Prepare for this each morning. Remember God when you can throughout the day. Ask the Holy Spirit's help when it is feasible to do so, and thank him for his guidance at night. And your confidence will be well founded indeed. So I find that I think, okay, why don't I hear voices? Why am I not a channeler? Why I don't allow that to disturb my peace or upset me. But I remember my years of chaplaincy too, and I was depending on Holy Spirit in the way for guidance, but as the helper and the counselor that I would have from my conventional Catholic background. And I can remember waking up for every morning, and a list of things would just pop into my head, and there were things that maybe I had forgotten or had to get done, and I would just say, Holy Spirit, thank you for reminding me, so they come as thoughts, and I really don't know when my thoughts aren't my thoughts or their inspiration thoughts. I kind of just go with what I think, and do ask for that guidance every morning, like do place the Holy Spirit in charge. So, and I just wanted to add one more thing about this chapter 28, when we are called to action and called to share. And I kind of just made a little note of chapter 28, the verse 5 there, teaching others about the nature of God and how they are aspects of God is crucial. And it does, I think in number 7, it says share this with everyone. And of course, when love tells us the biggest crisis is the identity crisis, that we don't know who we are. We don't know our essence. So this is a big part of what we're called to do, in however we're gifted to do that, right? Is to and it, all through these readings, it says gently, don't be preachy, don't be gently. We have to show people who they are and bring them to the aspect of the part of God that they are.
I think what you just said, Lorraine, is super important, because the word teach can be misunderstood. It is teach by example, as Journey talks about. So the sharing, by being that example, by your very presence, by the energy of who you are. You may not even say a word, you may just be present on a call or thinking about somebody. But if you are that example of pure love, it will reach the person, and it's an energetic thing. And the only other thing I want to say before I want to ask Rick to share, because we've had this conversation, Rick and I, about, so is this really channeled, or is this, and you know, Rick's answer to me made complete sense, which was, well, it is the one mind, the one heart. There is no separation. There is no Holy Spirit separate to us. It is now one. So that's what we share. No
Right.
separation. So
So,
thank you.
so beautiful.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for bringing that up. That's perfect and really important. The example life, you know, that's
for
all
sure.
we have to be. We don't have to open our mouths.
Well, the relationship, like you say, the energy that's being exchanged, the Course of Love teaches us that it's the relationship, the union and the relationship that is God.
Yeah.
God's present there, right? So thank you for the reminder. I do know that, you know, that just by showing up, we teach.
And doing more if your heart prompts. I mean, that's really important too. It's not either or. It's both and it's all.
Yeah.
That's a phrase I keep using for decades now. It's both and. Judy, if you wanted to say something. Judy?
Oh, I was going to say, I got a kick out at the end of A Course of Love. It says, so be it. And one of the ladies in my class, it would say, so be it. And she would say, and so it is. I said, no, that's not what it says. It's not. You know, it is so be it. And I don't know how many times I corrected her, and it was really funny, but it was a good correction because everybody else also got it. You know,
Yeah.
eventually she would read it correctly. But I went, but those are the words, so be it. She said, well, I'm just used to saying, and so it is. I said, yeah, well, it is, but we're supposed to be it now.
Yeah.
So was she adding the phrase, so it is, or instead of so be it?
So be it. She would read it. So
Oh,
it is.
okay. And in fact, it's both. It's so be it, and so it is. See, by being it, it is.
It is. But the whole point was, okay, it's now, be it.
Right.
It has been, so it is for so long, like you said, that, well, the time of learning's over, the time of all of our past learning is over. Now it's just to show up as we are.
Be it, right. And that's, I hope, what we're all doing right here, because I question whether to have these conversations, because it's like, do we really need to be talking about it? Because we're really being it in our lives all the time. So we'll see how it goes, you know, because what we're called to do is be this love, be this example. And bring that energy with us wherever, because that's who we are. Rick, I wanted to ask, sorry, go ahead, Jackie.
I just wanted to add that what you're referring to, Judy, is I call it the prayer of being, and it's on page 661 of A Course of Love. If anybody's interested, it's telling us what we are, what to be. Page 661. I don't have the. It starts with, Father, you gave me the choice. I didn't put the actual line reference.
The epilogue, the beginning of the epilogue.
At the beginning of the epilogue. Okay.
A note on being.
That's
Jackie, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say that, you know, I come to the calls because it's like going to the gas station to fill up with the high octane. You know, I do, you know, go around and you're doing your thing, and then it's just so lovely to refuel in the brave space, you know, and get some nourishment from circles like this.
As we grow in our ability to be that self-sourcing, that source of light, to be that sun, you know, to be, you're absolutely right. It is good for all of us and important, and I'm glad to offer it. So, and everything is unknown, one moment at a time. So right now it feels perfectly right to do this, and I love being with all of you, and we'll see how it goes. And, you know, one of the things that can happen is that some of you might decide, you're going to have your own little groups and bring in other people, you know, and that would be amazing. Again, to share that light that you are, share the truth that you are, you know, in presence with people. Rick.
Well, so I wanted to share something that Christina and I have talked about with this book, which is that to me, it's kind of a punk rock spiritual book, or a spiritual book for people that don't like spiritual books. And I could not have been a part of the creation of the Course in Miracles because I don't have that kind of a complicated mind, and I don't do footnotes. And so I could see where, you know, Helen was needed for that. And then with the second book, which is very poetic, I don't have that kind of a mind either, so I couldn't have been a part of that. Although both of those works are really, you know, fantastic, but I could see where the receiver was a part of it. So I don't know exactly how all of this works, but I'm really simple and I don't have any qualifications and there's no yardstick, and just the whole idea that you are fine the way that you are and maybe you're more than what you think, you know, that comes through this work. So to touch a little bit about what Lorraine was saying too, is that when I first started to read A Course of Love, I kept asking myself this question, you know, how am I doing? Am I doing it good enough? Or how did I do today? Did I do good today? Or, you know, I was always doing that human mind thing of comparing myself with myself, which is silly. And so, again, this is, you know, it helps you to remember to stop doing that you're absolutely fine. And there's no need for you to compare yourself or get all neurotic about some sort of an evaluation that you're doing or giving yourself checks or something. That's not what it's about anymore. And I don't think that it ever was about that. I think throughout these 50 years, I think there's been a progression as people have progressed. And really, I think that Spirit has learned too. I think they've learned how to talk to people and how not to talk to people, because they're able to see what works and what doesn't work and what's confusing and what leads to problems and what's freeing. And this is all about freedom from everything. And really, with each day, I've discovered some new thing that it's freeing me from. It's not only the past, but also all these you should and you must and you could have done this and should have done it and would have done it, and all of these requirements that people have for each other. So it's just an opportunity for you to say, no thanks, I've been there, I don't want it anymore, to really have your freedom. So that's what I have to say about all of that. Now's the time for simplicity.
Absolutely.
And so it's kind of unfortunate in a way that it's taken this long, but I could see how it did take this long, because it just, you know, everything is evolutionary in a way. And so things do take a certain amount of time before people are ready. And there's still people that don't like this book because it's not complicated. It's not, doesn't have footnotes. It doesn't have this and that. It's not pretty and it's not formal. And they're thinking that, you know, Spirit has to be that way. But in fact, no, Spirit is going to be the way you are. It's going to reflect you. And so we're all not like that. And so to me, that's a really radical thing, but it's also a freeing thing too. And it's also inclusive, because we're including everybody now, even people that don't like spiritual books. You know, Christina has a beautiful voice. She's reading the chapters to people that don't like to read. And so we're really, for the first time, I mean, I think we're going past the boundaries of, you know, spiritual groups and trying to include everybody to find something that they may relate to so they can become more free, because really they're the only ones that are stopping themselves from being free. So thanks everybody.
And it's true, this language is really simple and direct and doesn't require you to understand any terminology that comes before. I mean, you may not like what it's saying, but you can't miss what it's saying. And, you know, I remember when I began doing Indra's Net gatherings, because co-creating clarity is my practice, and I just started doing it at a local cafeteria. And people came because I put it on Meetup. And none of them had any of these books under their belts. But we just talked about oneness and how we're all connected and reflections of each other. Let me just break here. Zonia. Zonia, hi. Can you hear me? Can you unmute yourself? Can't hear you. There we go.
I have to put I have to put a text. A moment. I have to write text. I don't know how to do.
Well, we can hear you now.
Yeah, so I can read. Yeah.
Well, I'm
It
glad
took
you're
me-
here. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
here.
I will look at where I go text.
Well, you don't have to read the chat. Don't worry about that.
No, for me it has to be in the screen text so
see.
I can read.
I see.
I have to look.
Okay. Well, take your time.
More, I will be looking more.
Okay.
Knitting, setting right hand is good. No. Okay.
Where are you, Zonia? Can you tell us where you are?
I just will the list because I don't hear everything.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know how to put the text on my screen.
I see. I see. I see.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's available,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, but I'm happy to join for the first time in my life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
to see you. It's lovely to see
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, I don't know how. That's interesting. Well, so shall we just carry on while you figure out how to get the text step? Sonia?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, shall we just carry on and you try and get the text part up?
No, I didn't hear you there.
Okay. All right. I was asking whether shall we just carry on with the meeting, the gathering, and you can look for how to get the text up?
I don't get it. Yeah.
Well, we'll just join with you energetically. Everybody just embrace Sonia, and she's going to feel everything and know everything just through that. I'm just glad to see you. Thank you.
Christina,
Yes.
I wanted to comment on, I just really appreciated what Rick was saying about freedom and what Lorraine said about identity crisis, because freedom is my highest value, you know, I mean, right up there. And this morning I did a meditation where we let go of all of our identity, the identity that we've been given societally. So, you know, the gender and the, you know, anything that's been, the roles, anything. And I started to cry when as I let go of the idea of me. And so it felt, you know, very new to come to this true identity that that Lorraine was suggesting, and it felt extraordinarily freeing. And I don't know, it was a new feeling. It was literally like I don't think I ever felt it was in, you know, maybe 2 minutes time. But it was so wonderful, and it brought tears to my eyes. And so, yeah, I mean, to come to words that just say, you know, just, you are spirit, just be who you are. And then you'll remember who you are without any of this other stuff piled on top of it.
I think
Beautiful.
that's what Rick was saying about the should be, could be,
Right,
whatever. It just,
right.
all that, I love it from A Course in Miracles. The past is over. And if we would just remember that and just be in the present moment, I don't know if I read this or whatever, but really the unknown is only that which isn't created yet. So if we're in each moment, we are creating the next moment. And if we remember that, I mean, it's really smooth sailing. I think I'm probably more at peace now than ever before, even with all the seeming insanity going on out there. So, yeah.
Yeah. And from that place of you overflow that onto anyone you encounter, anyone you see on a call or on Zoom, or they'll feel that. And that's what we need to do. That's exactly what we're called to be. But yeah, and it's so important what you said, Jackie, because it is, and Judy as well, because it's in the moment. That freedom is only possible in the moment to know with certainty who you are and being truly expressing who you truly are. And that changes moment by moment. That's the complete freedom. That moment is complete, love's call and love's answer complete, and you move on with complete freedom for all concerned. Yeah. Yeah, and it's so interesting to me also that, 50 years ago, when the musical Hair was released, the group called 5D sang The Age of Aquarius. And we're about to actually enter the Age of Aquarius on December 21st, on the solstice this year. And this is what it's all about, is into an age of complete flow and freedom and creativity and feminine, that feminine flow, divine feminine flow, which includes the doing. And that maybe this is a good place. There's one other thing I just wanted to share that's been very powerful for me in these installments we've had, which is talking about, it's just, the message is simply being that presence we've talked about, and doing if your heart prompts. And that is the way of Mary and the way of Jesus. That's what it says in Journey. It says it exactly like that, being and doing, if your heart prompts. But the being is the place from which any doing arises. And that's the beginning and the end, if that's all we need to be. But there may be doing at times. And I believe Journey says that the blessing is the most important thing. That is the way of Mary, blessing all of everyone and everything all of the time. And then take action if your heart prompts, is the way of Jesus, which pops up when needed. So it's really important that it's that simple. It's that simple and that difficult to do.
Rick, when you were speaking, it really touched me very deeply, moved me very deeply, that call to simplicity. That's the very common denominator. And the conversation has been subsequently like showing up, but showing up as spirit. If that's who we truly are, right? The Christ itself, the spirit. So whatever is happening or whatever we're doing in that now moment, we are a part of and witness to God experiencing in our union. It doesn't matter what's happening. There's no judgment. There's no good. There's no bad. So showing up as spirit is experiencing each moment, and how that's going to touch and affect each of us just being here in this group is what it is, I don't want to use what it's supposed to be, but what is happening. We are flowing over into each other. Thank you. That was really moving for me. That's simple. Stripping off everything. We just come down, Jackie, that identity, and we come down to that part of us that's just true spirit, our true selves.
And Lorraine, you just said it, that's what this whole project is about. Living as a free spirit with a body instead of being a person trapped in a body, trapped by identity and ideas and expectations from other people and from yourself, stripping all that away and just being free, being a free spirit, and know that you're going to be taken care of while you serve in whatever way you feel is appropriate and that you're called to. So you summed up the whole
Beautiful.
project.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
It
And
makes
that,
me tear. So
and that's
touches me.
what's new in a body, as you said, Rick. In a body. So we're the elevated self of form, which is the divine human being.
Mhm.
All of it. Yeah. Yeah. And freedom, you know, Jackie, you want to go back that for a second? I can't remember, but I think in A Course of Love, one of the days is definitely called freedom. And I believe the next one after that, or somewhere close to it, is, because I remember all this, the threesome goes together for me, freedom. And then the next chapter, I think, was power and joy. So from that freedom that you're talking about comes the power and the joy of living. And to be honest, I have only just begun to taste that kind of joy and power in the last 6 months. It feels like a whole, I never really tasted that. I never really saw myself, allowed myself to fall in love with myself till maybe 1.5 years ago. And once I began doing that, you know, that freedom to be who I am began to, I could taste it. So when this book came along in April, you know, it was like, oh my God, this is all the stuff that we all need to hear in that simple language. So I'm very, very grateful.
Sonia, can you hear now? No. She must be hearing impaired that she wants to text up.
I don't know how you set that up. Do you know, Judy, on Zoom?
I would think that it would be, she has some, if she has something on her iPad or
That
computer
does
to do
that.
it for herself,
I
a
see.
separate thing. And I think that's what she's trying to do
You're
right
still
now.
trying to work that out. Zonia, I guess Zonia can't hear us, so. But I mean it about feeling her and holding her and folding her. So you're right, she won't be able to hear our words, but she'll feel us. I feel all of you. So yeah. Yeah.
But wonder if she can see the chat, why don't I just write Sonia?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thanks, Judy.
Introduce yourself through chat. I think you saw that.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you, Judy. You're better at this. Thank you. It's a great idea.
No. Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
We do need to speak.
Yeah. I would like to have a text on my screen so I can understand everyone when they talk.
Mm-hmm.
I do hear the voice, but I don't get the words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can put text after later when I want to review a Zoom. I have the text, but I want to have the text in live so I can take and I can participate. I don't know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't either.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm touching all the buttons too. Yeah. Yeah. So now, can you say yes? Okay.
Yeah.
I live in Australia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and here it's 7 o'clock. The meeting start here at 7 a.m.
Oh, morning.
Yeah, I have to wake up early. Yeah. I'm happy to join the group because for me, for the first time in my life. Yeah. Yeah. How can I do that? Thank you for being here. Thank you, Christina. Yeah.
And I want to tell everybody that Zonia is beginning to translate Journey into Spanish.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes, we already have someone translating it into French, and we'll probably have some installments up pretty soon in French. And Zonia is beginning to do the Spanish translation.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So now I told you everyone you are what? Can you write more?
Oh. Get to you.
I have to file. You are yes, yes, yeah.
and then I know Christina.
Happy to see you, to meet you, all of you. Happy to meet all of you. Yeah. Yeah, how are you? Yes. Yeah, hello, how are you? Yeah.
Good. You might want to address Sonia, can you?
Oh, I see. Zonia's iPad. Here we go.
Yeah. And then Christina, I know you wanted to get back to the one about money. And
I thought that would be a bit controversial and
we had
interesting.
sex one time, money's next.
Yes, exactly. We've done one about sex very well. So of your, I meant your. See if Zonia wants to answer that. Well, please start, Judy. Yes. What about money? That's a pretty clear message.
You're the one who brought it up. I was interested. That was interesting.
Well, I was interested in how people reacted to that. The bit I'm talking about is where it says, please don't charge.
I love it. And your voice was perfect there. It really was. It was like, and it assumes, and rightly so, that we're taken care of already.
Yes.
And, you know, kind of a thing. And it's, if you have expenses, well, then share them. But to go out and try to make this a business, I think, is basically where that's coming from.
And that could be hard for some people. I mean, that's what I wanted to wonder about, how you all feel about that, because I mean, it says asking for contributions for expenses is okay, but it is a huge step for a lot of people, and I don't want to take it lightly, you know, because it really does make it very clear, other than perhaps purchasing a book, you know, having to buy a book.
Well, we're not really, like, this is how it's going in my classes now. I used to charge, when I was teaching through CMC, of course, they would charge. And so then when I left CMC and people wanted to still study with me, they were willing to pay me and I was willing to take it. And that was just when I was retired, just starting to retire and stuff. And it was good to have that. And it felt normal. We were doing it. But after one time through a book, it's kind of like when we're reviewing or we're reading something else, it's like we're all on the same level. We're all on the same, coming from the same place. We're now just sharing experience. I think if you are definitely in a position where you have information to offer that someone doesn't have and they want, which was Course in Miracles, A Course of Love. Now this is, we're all in it together, and it's not, and it's, we're just sharing now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not arguing with the message. I'm saying it can be very difficult.
Yeah, well, the
for
thing
a lot
is,
of people.
at first it was a little, because some people just felt they shouldn't have to pay for anything like this. And so then I told everybody, so you don't have to pay if you don't want to, then why should one not pay because they didn't feel they needed to or should or could or whatever the excuse was. So I've been through that sticky stuff.
Right.
And basically, it's the same message.
Yeah, yeah.
Please don't.
Absolutely. I mean, I began co-creating clarity as a practice, which is a sharing. This is not counseling or coaching. There was no hierarchy. It's coming together as clear pools flowing into each other, and stopped charging for it at all. Not that I ever really did, because there was always people who couldn't afford it, or anything for that matter, after a couple of years, so 2012. However, I have had the good fortune to have some savings, and my husband is still working as a consultant in his high-tech work. So there's a little income, and everything is fine. But I'm aware that there could be people to whom that's quite a difficult order, and I just wondered how everyone here felt. That's really what I was asking about. I totally feel that, and absolutely, but it can be a big leap. It is giving and receiving as one. So when I stopped having any kind of fee, never said, I do this for the joy of it. Mm-hmm. That's how it was. And sometimes people would, give me a plant or something, which was great, but it was complete in that moment, the giving and receiving. So I think that's the energy of it, and it can be quite new. It can be very new. So I'm curious to hear from you. We have another 5 minutes or so. Anyone want to share how that feels for you and how you actually live it, which is what's really important to me? Rick, please.
The ownership of property really feeds into people's identities, and it also determines their social status, and what they have and what they can afford. Right. So in the larger picture, the world picture, I wish that people didn't have that thing about owning property, because like right now, people who say that they own property and they rent the property, and so many people are out of work, they can't afford their rent. And some of the owners feel justified in kicking them out on the street. And our homeless problem is so bad as it is, but to add to that, because of this idea that we can own property and make money off of it, it's a big issue in the world. And people think that, that you can make it by having a lot of money and a lot of stuff to flaunt. So, but for our purposes, that's a really nice message, to just not charge any money for anything and have everything be free, and to share expenses if necessary. But again, if it's a problem for someone, if you think of these chapters as songs on an album, then, sometimes there's some songs that you don't like as much, but hopefully you'll keep listening and keep finding the ones that you do like, and don't just discard the whole thing because you don't like certain chapters. There's a lot more chapters to come.
But thank you for saying that, Rick, because that's kind of what I was trying to get at rather awkwardly, which is, people do exactly where they are and how they can do at the moment. So there's no judgment, there's no requirement, there's no shoulds. It is what it is. And it is, the message is there, and we live into it as we can. So just like the
Maybe.
one about sex question, you know.
Maybe those chapters are they're in there for all of us. This is a shared experience.
Right.
But I think in A Course in Miracles, you know, it speaks to this, but it talks about lack. That, you know, in the separated mind, we believe we need to have money, that we live in lack. You know, that's what the ego mind, the separate mind, tells us. And then in A Course of Love, Jesus tells us, no, you need to accept abundance. You're totally
Yes.
taken care of.
Yeah.
And so that's, you know, both of them are about the attachment to the thought, of course, right?
Mhm.
Thinking that we need, because we're still attached to our money in that conditioned mind, is what keeps us having a home, what keeps us having a food, which still does, as Rick mentioned, those that can't pay their rent could be living on the street, because you have to have those silver, tin, and shiny papers to be able to hold your shelter in place, right? Accepting abundance, for me, money's always been an issue. Well, does that mean I have to give up everything I have? Or,
No.
you know, we've got this. It doesn't, of course, but I had to work through the accepting of abundance and thinking, well, that money I have, really, that's sitting there from the sale of a home, it's a little bit of a estate that I have, I can't be attached to it, right? I'm taken care of, even when I have to pay the rent. Don't worry about it. Don't worry that you're depleting this money, or don't be attached to that money is the end all and the be all. God is taking care of it. So in this little group, energy influences energy, and he says in it, share reality, not opinion. So that's sharing our experience and sharing our being. And if it just means showing up, as you've reiterated to me, Christina, so be it. So be it, right? But it says don't charge money and don't profit from sharing truth. But I would think myself, if as a group we come up to a financial need that's going to benefit all of us to keep the group going, we need, you know, then I would be more than happy at the benefit of all of us and where this could be taken to do what I would be able to do, because not my money anyway. It's God's. I could be like
That's
Job,
the
and it could be
sharing.
taken away from me tomorrow.
Yeah, it's the
Right?
sharing that you're talking about. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And each person you share as your heart prompts. And it's very clear. Journey is very clear about you take care of your needs and share what you can.
Can.
There is no requirement. There is nobody
Right.
to tell you. It just
Well,
happens, you know, according to what your heart says.
yeah, so it's not seeing money as being
No,
evil. It's
no.
greed in our hearts. It is, but and not feeling bad because I'm not making myself poor as I used to think I had to do in one of my other lives,
Right.
right?
That's the other
But
extreme of it, which is equally a sort of
yes,
a requirement that can put pressure on
right,
people. Not at all. Yeah, you're right.
right. And then we feel, oh wow, we're not living poorly as Jesus lived poorly. You know, what kind of sin and evil am I in now? Those are past and
Right.
gone. But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess
You
I
know, it
should
was really
stop.
interesting, Lorraine, that you brought this up. 'Cause I remembered I just opened my messages here on my iPad, and I was looking in the Bible, because all of these messages have been around forever. And it's so interesting to feel deeply, and I don't, you know, this is just how I feel, that we really knew all this stuff. People can wake up with the Bible. You can wake up with A Course in Miracles. You can wake up with A Course of Love. And now perhaps more will wake up with, you know, Journey. But this is what I found in Peter, chapter 5, verse 1 to 3. The elders, which are among you, I exhort, this is Jesus speaking, who am also an elder. Feed the flock of God which is among you, not by constraint, but willingly, and not for filthy lucre. He uses the word lucre, L-U-C-R-E, which is money, but of a ready mind, neither as being lords over God's heritage, but being examples to the flock. I mean, it's so beautiful that this doesn't impede us.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, but the question is living it. So we can conceptualize everything you say is true, but bringing it down into our body.
Yes.
Oh, I think we're gonna probably end the call soon. We had somebody on a second ago. but I
Yes.
can't.
There's an
Donald,
interference.
can you hear us? There's an echo.
So Sonia's iPad and her iPhone are both on and they're close together.
Oh,
That's why
Donald.
you're hearing the echo. She has to disconnect from one of them.
Take care, everybody. Thank you. Nice
Okay,
meeting
yeah,
you.
okay.
Donald, can you hear us? Donald?
Yeah,
No, he's
Okay.
not.
I was
Sorry.
trying to find the text.
Donald, can you hear us?
It's okay.
No, it's not. No, I think we probably should just end the call.
Yeah.
It's time anyway. It's past 6:05. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Okay. Finish, no?
Sonia.